Chapter 23, From a Goddess to a Female Shura. Saving the world? Zutui was not interested, nor did he have the ability to do that. However, he had no problem saving himself and his good buddy, Chang Mo, before the arrival of potential danger. Of course, if he had the chance, he would save his other classmates too. He had noticed Cha Yifeng's abnormal actions. The surest and smoothest way of doing things was to move toward Cha Yifeng and launch a surprise attack while his target was not expecting it. He had to attack Cha Yifeng's vital spot. He had to knock Cha Yifeng out in an instant. He had to pull out the false teeth that might be sending out some special signals. He had to save the world. No, he had to save himself. Thinking about it for a moment, Zutui decided against the course of action. If Zutui really did that, he might be taken as an enemy and be attacked. He might even be killed on the spot. The armed security guards who were sitting at the front and the back of the bus were not there to simply intimidate during the wartime provisions. Once Zutui showed any sign that he was going to launch a surprise attack, the security might immediately determine Zutui be the enemy and take action. They might even open fire. It was also useless to shout. What kind of enemy wouldn't announce that they were partners in this day and age? Furthermore, Cha Yifeng was also an important factor. Cha Yifeng belonged to the Investigation Department of Jincheng Prefecture's Ministry of Education. In the 22nd century, the Investigation Department of Jincheng Prefecture's Ministry of Education made up a large portion of the Ministry of Education's military might. Other than keeping an eye on the students' studies, their main mission was to guarantee the safety of various campuses. Cha Yifeng was chosen to be part of the escort team and was responsible for the batch of students who had been accepted by the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College. His abilities must be strong. He must be a genetic liberator at least. The kind of genetic liberator who had trained for a long time. Zutui felt that the situation would be reversed and that he would be knocked out by Cha Yifeng instead if he recklessly attacked him. After considering all of the possibilities, Zutui felt that he should employ a safer approach. He should be less of a hero. He should be more reserved. Zutui stood up and brought along a pen and a piece of paper as he walked to the side of the female researcher. He stood there. And Zhao Soxui looked up. She had a questioning look in her eyes. "Miss N, I wish to sit beside you. Can you shift a seat inward?" Zutui stared daringly at Zhao Soxui. Every student in the bus instantly became more energetic when they heard Zutui. Gossip! It was big news. A newly recruited student of the Wuxia Genetic Evolution College had not even reached the school when he tried to flirt with a professor. Even though relationships between a teacher and a student were not rare. Wasn't Zutui being too showy about it? While a group of students was relishing in the gossip, a bunch of students who were closer to Zutui started to hiss rowdily. Chang Shi even whistled. Gong Ling, who had been sitting in front of Zutui, glanced at Zhao Soxui, then looked at herself. She was a little confused. Didn't the woman in the mask just have longer legs? Was her allure that great? Even Cha Yifeng turned to look at the scene. Even so, his cheeks were still moving at a regular rhythm. Why, have you managed to develop X-ray vision? You're a mini X-rayman. Angshokshu did not have any intention of moving. She remained in her seat and had a slightly sarcastic tone. She had only crossed paths with Zutun a few times. She did not hate him but did not particularly like him either. Of course, if she confirmed that Zutui had any indecent thoughts, she did not mind letting that impure chap know what a professor from the mystery branch was made of. The term X-ray once again sparked gossip among the students around them. Zutui had a depressed expression. He wanted to vomit blood. Back then, he had made a mistake that any teenager would have made when they were daydreaming about supernatural abilities. Why did he become a mini X-ray man in Zhaoxu's mind? He wanted to cry. However, there were more important matters at hand. He casually displayed the note that he had written beforehand in front of Zhao Soxui. Zhao Soxui discreetly glanced toward Zutui, then suddenly stood up. She stroked her hair before moving to the seat beside the window. Zutui took the opportunity and sat down. A wave of sad howls instantly rang out in the bus. There were strange looks from the genius students. Zutui managed to get what he wanted so easily. A group of male students had an envious expression on their faces. They would have taken action a long time ago if they knew that it was this easy. While their eyes were red in envy, Zutui had already quickly started communicating with Injauk Saksui through the notebook. The words that he had written in the notebook beforehand were, "Missin, are there any ways of sending out signals within the radius of the super miniature radiation atomic releasing device? Yes, but they are very rare. The material is also very unique. Furthermore, the material would not have been able to make it past today's security inspection. Did you notice any problems?" And Zhao Xu's handwriting was very elegant. Compared to her handwriting, Zutui's rather neat handwriting paled much in comparison. Zutui listed his observations. "I unintentionally sensed that Mr. Cha had 2 false teeth just now. The material of the false teeth was not something that I have seen in my daily life or any textbooks. At this moment, Mr. Cha's 2 false teeth are constantly knocking against each other rhythmically. In my senses, Mr. Cha's mental aura is also very nervous at this moment." And Zhao Saksui had only glanced at the notebook before she instantly stood up. The senses that Zutui had told her about were very unique. She had heard Zutui mention his senses back then during the stalking incident. He had wanted to ask him about it or test him when they got to the school. However, she did not expect it to be brought up again now. She did not have the time to ask him about it now. And Zhao Saksui stood up under the gazes of everyone in the bus. She walked directly toward Cha Yifeng, who was sitting at a seat back facing the front door. "Mr. Cha, please open your mouth," and Zhao Saksui commanded. Cha Yifeng was shocked at first. He then stood up instinctively and arched his body slightly. He looked like a panther about to pounce. He was in a state of high alert. "And Zhao Saksui, what are you doing? This is an escort mission." Cha Yifeng tried to shift the blame toward her. His roars instantly caused the security in the bus to be on their guards. They instantly aimed the barrel of their guns toward Zhao Saksui. "And Zhao Saksui, if you attack me." The 2 security guards who had been aiming their guns at Zhao Saksui with killing intent mysteriously sat down when they heard Zhao Xu's words. They were like obedient children. It was as if they did not see what was happening in front of them. What shocked the students even more was that as Zhao Saksui extended her fingers, Cha Yifeng, who had been like a panther on high alert, suddenly became suspended in the air. He seemed as though he had been coiled around by countless invisible ropes and was now dangling in the air. His expression was that of immense shock. However, he could not say a word. The students were in an uproar in the bus. "Quiet, all of you. There might be a problem with Mr. Cha. I'll check it out." And Zhao Xu's voice had a strange power. It instantly suppressed the commotion in the bus. "Zutui, come over. Find that teeth." It was only 7 words, but Zutui felt compelled to step forward. Many intelligent students suddenly realized that this might only be happening because Zutui came to miss and just now. Seeing that Zutui was clasping at his mouth, Cha Yifeng's eyes bulged. He glared at Zutun with a murderous gaze. It was as though he wanted to scare Zutui away. Unfortunately, Zutui pinched open Cha Yifeng's mouth and reached in with his fingers. He accurately found the 2 false teeth and instantly took them out. He then quickly brought it in front of Zhao Saksui. And Zhao Saksui did not take them. She examined the teeth closely. Moved by a mysterious power, the 2 false teeth started to rotate in Zutui's palm. Zutui suddenly had a realization. And Zhao Saksui shouted for him to retrieve Cha Yifeng's teeth, not because she needed his help. The only reason was Thatch was afraid that it would be disgusting. The saliva-covered false teeth rolled around in Zutui's hand. Even Zutui felt disgusted. Magnetizetentum, a kind of device that can release ultra-low-frequency infrasonic waves. And Zhao Saksui did not look at Cha Yifeng after she arrived at this conclusion. Instead, she gently made a grabbing motion with her right fingers. Cha Yifeng instantly became like a falling hammer. He got his first physical contact with the stairs of the bus. He instantly let out a pathetic cry. Blood covered his face. And Zhao Saksui had no intention of stopping. She extended her fingers, then made another grabbing motion. "I'll stop when you tell me everything you know." While managing Cha Yifeng and Zhao Saksui simultaneously moved to the side of the driver. "Contact the mobile command tent immediately. We are already connected." who was still continuously being rubbed against the ground by Zhao Soxui with their guns in hand. All of the students were startled into a daze. This scene was not just straight out an action film. It was also very brutal. Jia Yifeng's face had already become deformed after being rubbed against the ground by Zhao Soxui. Blood was flowing continuously. However, his face continued to grate against the floor. My suggestion is that we leave the planned route immediately. And Zhao Soxui gave an urgent report. However, the contents of her report were extremely clear. There was a brief moment of silence at the command center. And Zhao Soxui took advantage of this gap and shouted at the driver, "Leave the planned route immediately." The driver was from the military and had a duty to follow orders. However, that did not extend to Zhao Xu's orders. Yet, there was a strange power in Zhao Xu's voice. The driver immediately started to act as instructed. With a rumble, the bus started to shake violently. It crashed through the protective barrier and charged down the highway. The chassis of the bus rose significantly and an obstacle-clearing device extended out of the bumper. The bus started to charge around within the primordial forest. After they deviated off course, the escort vehicles following behind them also veered off their planned route and followed behind them. Almost immediately, Colonel Liu Tianhe's voice rang out in the radio channels of all of the vehicles. "I am Liu Tianhu. All vehicles are to leave the original planned route and engage in actions to avoid gunfire." Repeat, "I am Liu Tianhu. All vehicles are to leave the original planned route and engage in actions to avoid gunfire." Instantly, the 12 buses and 13 escort vehicles that had been traveling on the highway charged off the highway at the same time. Fortunately, they were all specially made vehicles. Otherwise, there would be a large problem with the order. All vehicles are to avoid potential gunfire for 4 minutes. The emergency flying combat team will arrive in 4 minutes. Liu Tianhu had not finished his words when he saw a few small sparks outside his vehicle. These small sparks were increasing in size at a rapid rate. Many of the buses and escort vehicles that were in an unfortunate position were flipped over from the impact. "Bastards!" Colonel Liu Tianhe's furious roar rang out from the military audio channel. "I am Liu Tianhu. The enemies have accurate short-range guided missiles. All personnel abandon their vehicles immediately. Abandon your vehicles immediately. Stay with your group and put up your defenses. Wait for reinforcements. There are still 3 minutes. Repeat. I am Liu Tianhu. The enemies have accurate short-range guided missiles. All personnel abandon their vehicles immediately. Abandon your vehicles immediately. Stay with your group and put up your defenses. Wait for reinforcements. There are still 3 minutes.